how to stop being a perfectionist in your art and what you need to do. Being a perfectionist can be a real pain in the backside because for obvious reasons, nothing ever gets done and your work doesn't get seen, doesn't get put out there. Your potential clients don't have the opportunity to work with you or buy from you. So one of the best things you can do is remember this phrase: done is better than perfect. I'll say it again, done is better than perfect, because if you don't do a thing and leave it and get it out there, you will never get anything done. Never anything. Now, I know that you think, well, I need to be perfect because there's so many other people perfect in the world that are doing the same thing as me. No, not at all. There's no such thing as perfect. I mean, okay, a sunrise is perfect, a beautiful tree might be perfect, but as far as we as humans go, there's no such thing. Picasso was painting until the very end of his days, and he freely admitted he wasn't perfect. And also, he said something really important. He said that, you know, even a doodle which somebody might pay 10 grand for took him 5 seconds to draw, but it actually took him 60 years of practice and experience and testing to get to that stage where he could do a doodle in 10 seconds and have people raving over it. We are not at that stage. Very few of us are. So done is better than perfect every single time. Now you can say, well, okay, Paul, that's great, but how do I actually do that? Set yourself a deadline. For example, let's say you've got a piece of work to complete and you want to get it done and sorted. Set Saturday evening at midnight as the deadline for this piece of work you've got to do. And once you hit that deadline, you down tools, you stop, and you do not touch that piece of work again, okay? The only thing you're allowed to do is actually hit publish or send or post it or whatever you do, or put it away in a drawer or stick it on your wall. And then immediately afterwards, you start a new project. And the more you do this, the more you rinse and repeat, the more you set a deadline, do a thing, get it done, get it out there, the easier it becomes. Especially if you give yourself a small reward for actually completing the work. It doesn't have to be massive. It could be something simple like, I'm going to spend Sunday doing Netflix and chill as a reward. And your brain gets to like this and gets to encourage you to do it more and more and more. Setting a deadline gives you the pressure to get a thing done and get it out there. If you don't set a deadline, then how on earth do you expect to actually finish anything, because there's no need to finish it? I had a client who was constantly setting her business up and being perfect in such a way that the business was never getting set up. She would say, well, okay, the website needs this and that needs tweaking, and my lead magnet needs this, and the artwork needs that, and I need to have this video done and that piece of content done, and it's not perfect, I need to tweak this and tweak that. So she was forever caught in this loop of perfectionism and trying to get something absolutely right, but it never was absolutely right. So as a consequence, this business never got launched, her work never got seen by anybody. And we worked out why. And it wasn't her fault. None of this perfection wasn't her fault. It came from something way in the past, an event that happened, and from that event led her to believing that the only way she could be approved of or loved was to be perfect. So of course she was in this negative feedback loop, because whenever she completed something, she would always find something that wasn't just quite right, not perfect. And so she'd either rip it up and start again, or forever be tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. And as a consequence, the business never got launched, it never got done. So set yourself a deadline. One thing you need to understand is that being a perfectionist isn't necessarily your fault. It's not something that we're raised to do. It's not in our programming. Our programming is to survive and procreate and live as long as we can. There's nothing in there that says we do those things to perfection. It's done better than perfect every single time. Do you see a child striving to walk perfectly? Do you see a baby striving to crawl on all fours perfectly? No. They get up and they wibble and they wobble and they fall over and they fall down and they maybe cry for a bit and get up again and start again. They're not striving for perfection. They're striving to do the thing. They're striving to stand up on two legs and walk, or to crawl, or to get your attention. Have you seen a young child, maybe say 2 or 3 or 4 years of age, and have you seen them striving for perfection? No. They do a drawing, and to them it's perfect. It is. It's just, you know, to us it looks like squiggles and scrawls, but to them it's fine. Look, mummy. Now, if mummy goes, well, what's that supposed to be? Well, it's you, because look, there's this and there's that, and there's your eyes, you know. If mummy goes, well, that doesn't look like me, the child may get upset, but she won't go back and try and do better. She'll go, oh, fair enough, and just carry on. In most cases, however, for some of us, that can be really negative. It's, oh my God, she doesn't recognise me. She doesn't recognise the picture, so I better draw it again. And mum, no, still not me, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And we're constantly trying to strive for this approval, which we're never going to get because the drawing we're making doesn't represent what mummy or dad or grandma or grandpa's view of themselves is. So being stuck as a perfectionist isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility to do something about it. I'll say it again, it is your responsibility to take action and do something about it. You can get out of this negative feedback loop of being a perfectionist. Do you set a deadline, do your work, move on. You've got a project, have a deadline for the project, do what you need to do, get it out there, and just keep repeating and repeating and repeating. We are never going to be perfect. Your work is never going to be perfect because there's no such thing. Unless you want to spend the next 60, 70, 80 years working on one piece of work. And even then, after all that time, you may find that the paper you're drawing on is just worn out. So it's never going to be perfect anyway. So done is better than perfect. So let's recap how to stop being a perfectionist in whatever your art is. Done is better than perfect. Set deadlines, reward yourself, constantly create new projects, and remember, it's not your fault that you're a perfectionist, but it is your responsibility to get yourself out of that loop. Any questions, just drop me a line in the comments. I'll respond to all my comments. Thanks for watching. Bye.